Hello everyone. Hello, welcome to the Crafty Bunch. I am Lisa with Craftin' and Cruisin', and we are just waiting for our previous presenter. I could give her name up here. Prairie Porch. No, not Prairie Porch. What was it? Let me look. I had it on here so I could tell y'all who was coming up next, but I don't see it. So I'm going to have to depend on somebody from my group. Dory at Prairie Scrap. She's finishing up. And then after me is Grace at Grace Faithful Creations. So you want to stay around and see her. There's going to be some great presenters today. Thank you, Mary, for sprinkling. My page is Craftin' and Cruisin', and it got that name because I do a lot of travel with my husband, and many times we're in the car. I don't like to just sit in the car. I have to be busy doing something. So he made me a little, out of a Home Depot box, a little lap desk I can put in front of me, and then I can craft from that and go live. Then we got a motorhome, and we started traveling in the motorhome. Hey, Jean, well, welcome. We got a motorhome, and so I started crafting in the motorhome while he's driving. I'll be in the back crafting. Don't tell the police. And I can do some lives there, too, if I can get reception. So today the event is Craft Around the World. And I don't know which country everybody's doing, but I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to put the answer in the comments. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? There's a lot of places. Hey, Sister Maria, there's a lot of places I would like to go. The first is the Dominican Republic, which I just went to on vacation. But I did mission work there for years, and they stole my heart. The people, the poverty, it all stole my heart. So I did mission work there for years. And then I started doing mission work in Uganda, which is who we're going to focus on today, is Uganda. You'll notice my African necklace around here. I don't know how well you can see it. Hey, Denise. But it's made from cow horn, and some of them are decorated and some of them are not. Before I start my craft, I just want to show you a couple of things really quick. My husband was supposed to be here to do something on my craft for me, and he's not. So, we're going to have to figure it out. But these beads, I want to show you the women that we work with in Uganda. First of all, where's Uganda? Uganda is in central, more eastern Africa. It's about the size of Oregon. It's about 93,000 square miles. And last I heard, don't quote me on this, but last I heard it had the highest orphan rate in the world. It's called the Pearl of Africa because the land is absolutely gorgeous and very, very fertile. What we did was we teach women how to be self-sustaining so that they can feed their children and put their children in school. There's no free education in Uganda, and you have to pay tuition, and you have to pay for uniforms and supplies. You also have to speak English, and most of our women had never had English. So we taught them English, we taught them some business classes, and then we taught them pottery, leather crafts, sewing, and baskets and jewelry, so that they could then hopefully be able to sell their wares and make an income for their family. Most of them, there's no father in the family, which is very tragic. So I want to show you just briefly some of the things that they make. This necklace right here is made, it's got a little brown leather tassel on it, from coffee beans. These were coffee bean rejects from the coffee company that we were able to get, and then they were able to string them into necklaces, and I think they're absolutely gorgeous. So that's one type of necklace. This type is very fascinating to me. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 different types. This is one. This is one. This is one. And this is one. You guys, these are made out of pieces of magazine. They tear them into long triangular strips that get more and more narrow, and then they take a blunt needle, start at the wide end, and roll them. Put a dot of glue on the end, throw them in a bowl. Sometimes they leave them natural, and sometimes they paint them. See the different sizes? I absolutely love these. They also made, this is made also with the paper beads, but then our leather people also added a piece of leather, and then there's a piece of cow horn at the bottom. Just love them. And then the last one I want to, no, two more. These necklaces are both made with grass seeds from the Nile River. Isn't that awesome? This one can be wrapped, a couple of times and have a long end, have it kind of double looped. And then this one has the little seed beads on the end too, the little beads like we would find here. And then the last one I want to show you, these are called African trade beads. So when people came to the continent and wanted to eat or wanted to have property or wanted to be among the elite in Africa, they would bring their trade beads and they would trade the beads for money or for food. These are, some of them are kind of glass and some of them are ceramic. I absolutely love them. So today I have cut strips of fabric, and what we're going to do, because I've been doing Christmas in July, what we're going to do is make an angel out of African fabrics and lace. Trying to think in terms of if the ladies in Africa were sitting around, what could they have maybe at their disposal that they could use to make something out of. So you've seen the little tassel angels. They're all over Pinterest. They're all over the internet. We're going to make one similar to that. I'm hoping my husband's going to get here in time to drill a hole in the top of her head for the string to come through. If not, we're going to have to figure it out. So I'm going to lower you down. You can see that I have already cut strips of gorgeous African fabrics. They're all different lengths. We'll take care of that at the end. And then I have lots of different pieces of lace. So I'm going to mix and mingle as I pick them up in my hand, the African fabrics and the lace. And like I said, I'm not worried about these little strings hanging off, because you know why? That'll just give it more character. So as I pick them up, I'm hoping you're going to be able to see the beauty of the patterns and the colors. When I was there 2 trips ago, I've been there 12 times, and when I was there 2 mission trips ago, I asked a lady who headed up the sewing department and also had her own sewing shop downtown in Jinja, Uganda, if she had any scrap fabric, and if so, would she bring me some, because I would love to craft with it. And so that's where all this fabric came from, was from Sylvia's shop in town in Jinja, Uganda. And I just think they are gorgeous. They make me so happy because Ugandan women wear very colorful outfits. The poverty there with the women that we ministered to, these women had no running water, no electricity. They have nothing to help them female-wise. And they have something that many of us here don't have, and that is such joy and such appreciation for any and everything that they do have. They work hard. They have learned over the years, see how we're doing this over the years, how to budget money. and how to make sure that their children are being taken care of. Plus, as their children are coming along and learning English, they're learning English. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. But if you could see some of the areas where they live and some of the materials that they use to make their homes with, you would be shocked. And yet, they're happy and they're fulfilled. And isn't that really all that matters? See, when you haven't been in our country, you don't know what you don't know. Now, I'm sure that over time, many of them have learned what they don't know from media or, somebody telling them or whatever. But basically, we don't know what we don't know. So they're not necessarily missing anything, or they don't feel like that they're being, cheated from anything. And one thing we always told our teams that we took there is, you were put where you were put in this place for a reason. You didn't ask to be born in America. You didn't ask to be put here. That's just where you are. And the same with them. So they make the best out of what they have. Is that 100% across the board? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's not to say that there's not a lot of problem with, AIDS, with sickle cell, lots of, just lots of stuff. Lots of stuff they have to deal with. Typhoid. We think typhoid's been gone for a long time. Typhoid is around there. Malaria is a lot. You see malaria a lot in African countries, and it makes everybody so sick. And it can be deadly. And so when you go to a place like that and you realize how great we have it back here, it makes it easier to be, sympathetic, or what I say to people is when you have been involved in something like this and you have the information, then your next question to ask yourself is, what are you going to do with it? We have a responsibility to people at home, for sure, our own people. But in this country, our people are able to get a lot of help and services that people in many other countries are not able to get. There's no free anything in Uganda. And the government doesn't help at all. So that's why it's such a blessing to be able to go there and minister to these ladies. But you know what? I always say every time I'm there, you all have ministered to me way more than I've ministered to you. They think that's preposterous. They can't even imagine that anybody would say that. But you guys, it's true, because I learned how to appreciate the simple things of life. Will somebody please tell me, I started at 12:30, so I have till 1:15. Will somebody tell me when it's 1:13, please? Okay, so I think we have pretty much everything cut or draped here. I might as well go on and just add these last two pieces, or three pieces in here. Let me take one of the African fabrics back out and kind of put on top so it would be more African looking. So I would go back and plan to go back at some point in the not too distant future and just spend time loving on people who have loved on me and taught me so much about life. Okay, I'm cutting off a piece of jute, and I'm just going to wrap this around. I'm going to lay these out, and I'm going to wrap it around, and this is just going to tie them together to kind of be her body. And we can go back and trim it all up after we get through. So I will go back. I can't really look at the comments right now, and I don't have anybody here to read them, but I'll go back and read, because I want to see where, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go? I have been very blessed to visit lots of countries, not just doing mission work, but and you know, there's not many I wouldn't go back to for sure. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little bit thicker jute, and I'm going to come down I'm going to hold it up and bunch it up and come down just a tad. I want to leave my other strings out in case my husband gets here in time to drill a hole for me to run up through the top so that I can then hang it. And y'all, these, you could use these year round. These don't just have to be at Christmas. I have 2 or 3 solid lace angels that I've made in the past that hang off of a lamp that I have in my den that has some little floral things coming out, and it makes the perfect place to be able to hang stuff. And so they look almost like tassels, but if you look closely, you can tell they're angels. Okay, so let me come up here and tie this. Now, this particular angel, I've made them before where they had little hands that were, you know, holding a book or a scroll or a piece of music. One of them I made was holding a star. We're not going to do that today. We are going to put some little angel wings that I had Rodney cut out of some old, over 100-year-old aluminum ceiling tiles that we got from his sister-in-law, and it was in her dad's home when he was a child. Okay, so you can see the body starting to kind of take shape here. We're going to have to trim her up. We don't have to, but we probably will. So here are the wings that Rodney made for me out of that ceiling tile. I should have rusted them a little bit, painted them with a brown paint, and then sprinkled them with cinnamon. But when I think about it, if the ladies in Uganda were making something like this, they wouldn't have access to all that. So if I'm thinking of things that they would have that they could possibly pick up and use, then they wouldn't have that. So let's go on and I'm just going to hot melt her wings back here on the back. So I'm going to put a big glob of hot glue right here and put the one wing on, and I'm going to kind of hold it in place until it sticks, but I'm not going to hold it on that metal because that metal got hot with that hot glue. It may be up a little high. Let's put it down a little lower. I have to go back. Ooh, that hot glue is so hot coming through that metal, you guys. I do have finger cots. You know, if I was smart, I'd be putting one on, wouldn't I? I didn't think I was going to need them because I thought I'm just going to lay that back there, but I need them for sure. On my thumb anyway, because that's what I'm holding it down with. Okay. So some of y'all have been on here before when we've been at the river, house sitting for our friends, house and cat sitting. And that's what we're doing again. And that's why I'm outside, because we don't get very good reception here at all. So hopefully it won't cut off before I get through. But we love being out here. I had the table turned so that you all could see the water behind me. But when I did that, then my face was real in the shadow. And I was afraid y'all wouldn't be able to see the project, so I moved it. Let me turn this around and see if they're about even. Yeah, they are. Now, you know what? I should have left some of that fabric out. So I've got some here, some scraps. That's not very in the middle, it doesn't look like. I've got some scraps because I want to kind of see if I can figure out a way to make a turban for her head. So you can definitely tell now she's an angel. So for her head, I have this ball right here that I got yesterday at Michael's, a package of 5, I think. And it's already got a hole in the bottom, but I really want a hole in the top so I can feed this thread through and pull it out. That would be better to do that and hold her head down flat. But since I don't have that, we're just going to hot melt glue her on here. First, I've cut out a little doily. I cut out the center of it, And again, I should have put that on before the wings. Let me see if I can run it down there real quick. Pull it down and then put the wings back on. That wasn't a very good process, Lisa. Guess I'll have to take them both off. All right, let's take them both off and put the little doily around her. And that way I can also gather this little doily up in the back because I knew it was going to be too big. And glue it down. That just gives her a little something something there. And then I'm going to show you what else I made to put on top of it. I also have a crown I thought we would put on her head when we got through. Now, would they have those in Uganda? No, not to be able to craft with or wear or anything unless they were really rich. But for the purposes of this live and just to zhuzh her up, I thought we would do that. Okay, so don't forget, after me is Grace at Grace Faithful Creations. You don't want to miss her. Can't wait to see what she has in store for us. All right, I'm just going to put glue right here since the wings are kind of glued together already. And I'll hold it down a bit while it dries. These things are kind of bothering me now. I might all just cut them off since we're just going to glue her head on, but let me just hold this just a minute and let it stick. And of course you don't have to make the body this fat. I did just because I liked all the fabrics, but you could make it a lot thinner. And the ones that I've made with Just Lace are gorgeous. You can also get like a it's kind of cardboard cone about this tall, kind of a narrow cone. You get them at Hobby Lobby, you can get them at Michael's. And then you could just glue the fabric all around the cone. Okay. Now, on top of this, right here, the part that I had cut out of the center of that doily, I decided to use. So that's the center. And then this was a piece that I cut off of this fabulous ribbon I got one time at Hobby Lobby. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? So I just cut one of those off and glued it to the doily right there. And now I'm going to put a little hot melt around here. I do have Fabri-Tac that I could use and probably should, but to expedite things, I think we're just going to use Fabri-Tac. Hot melt glue. Then we're going to go on and glue her head on the top. You can also, if you want to, you can, should have put that little doily up higher. I'll probably move it up later. You can bring some of these fabrics around, a couple of them, and cross them over each other and make them look like hands. That doily kind of got away from me. It was supposed to stay at the top. Well, everything's getting away from me, guys. Hold on. I've got some escape artists going on here. Oh, please. Oh, my goodness. What in the world? You guys, that was a hot mess. Okay, let me just glue her head on first. And oh, of course it would happen to me. Of course it would. Okay. You know, these kind of things happen to us crafters. We just have to go with the flow. Okay, I'm going to leave that there and see if I can somehow manage to figure out how to put this back on her. Thought I had it all gathered up perfectly to look like a little collar on the top of her dress, but I guess I didn't glue it well enough. So let's try again. Let's do it a little bit at a time. You live and you learn, right? I hope y'all are all having a great day. I think when Dory was talking, she said it was hot where she was, but normally it's cold. She said she does not like the cold weather. I love cold weather, but we don't get enough cold weather in Tennessee to really amount to anything. We did when I was a child, but now for whatever reason we don't get it anymore. Okay. I think I'm just going to have to do this in stages. Are y'all keeping an eye on my time for me? I think I'll glue it up here a little bit too, around, just to hold that part up there so it won't go anywhere. Seems like it wants to slide down. Okay, let's get that just a minute and then I'll fix her wings. Turn it toward me just a sec so I can see. You know, you want everybody to see what you're doing, but it makes it hard. I think I'm going to let me cut this part off of the lace so I can redo the wings. So, where are some places I've been? I have been, hey, Prairie Scrap Story. I have been to Switzerland, Austria, Germany. I have been, that's all the only places I've been in Europe, I think. No, that's not true. I've been to Amsterdam when I was en route to Uganda, and went to the Tulip Festival. You know, I got this on here big time. I went to the Tulip Festival at Keukenhof, I think it's called. It was the last day, but they were absolutely stunning. Fields and fields and fields of all kinds of tulips and a few other. It wasn't exclusively tulips, but mostly. And then I have been, of course, to Uganda. I have been to the Dominican Republic. I've been to Jamaica, Aruba, Cayman Islands, several places in Mexico, Hawaii. I've not been to Alaska, and I really, really want to go. Trying to think where else. Been to lots of the islands. Okay, you guys, now that's better. Okay, now, because if you look at African women's turbans, they're all different. Some of them just have a wrap that comes around their head and wraps several times. Some of them do that and braid it and twist it and then make a big bow. Some of them have big bows on top of their head. Sky's the limit. We're going to just try to see if I can. I'm going to try to cut a few little strips of fabric. Y'all, these fabrics are so gorgeous, I think. I'm going to cut and tear. The longer I can get one, probably the better, and then I can just wrap. So let me cut this more straight. And I don't know how this is going to turn out. I've never done this before, so this is one of those trial and error things. And if it doesn't work, I've got some, I've got some Spanish moss to put on top of her head. And then, like I said, I wanted to put a crown on it too. So I think I'm not going to be able to get just a really long piece out of this. I was hoping it's here longer. There we go. Now it's a little bit too long down here. So maybe, I think I hear my husband coming a little bit late. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Here's her little head, but I have this other piece right here that I think I'm going to glue right here. So let's do it. Twisted strips might help for wrapping a small, yeah, you're right, it would if I had time to do that. I'm afraid I'll run out of time. So let me just hold this on here, right here. Get some of this off. Yeah, that's a good point. Twisted strips probably would work. How much time do I have? 15 minutes. Maybe we can do that. Let me see if I can get another fabric. And we can try to twist those. Oh, y'all. Not that one for sure. Some of these are really stiff. That's one thing I have noticed. I used to have my friend Sylvia make me some clothes when I was there. And the fabrics are really, they almost feel like they have starch in them. They don't, but they feel like that. I'm wondering if I could possibly braid some fabric together. That might work. Cut this into a straighter line. Okay. All right, let's see if we can do this. Put a little bit of glue in between them. Let that dry for just a sec. Twisted strips. Yeah, that's right. I think twisted strips is a good idea, or even braided. I think the braid would look cute. Should have probably made the strips thinner. But let me see if I can just hold this in my hand and kind of braid this fabric real quick.
Hey, Chris Hunter.
It's been a long time since I braided hair. When my girls were little, I used to French braid and regular braid, and it's been a long time now. My granddaughters do all these really unique braids that are, wow. Fishtail or something they call it.
Painted Peach is watching.
Thank y'all for sitting here like you're watching paint dry while I'm braiding African fabric. Don't these fabrics make y'all happy though? I mean, nothing there is that those women wear are dull. They're just all very bright, and they wear these big, huge, tall shoulder pads. I forget what they call them, but especially when they're dressing up, they have to have those real tall shoulder pads on. Just a whole different culture. Like when you get ready to get married, which most people aren't because they can't afford it. But if you can, then there's a whole long process they have to go through where the groom-to-be comes and presents the bride-to-be's parents with a cow and some sugar and maybe flour, rice, things like that. And then that's called the introduction. And so they meet the family and friends and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then instead of having like a registry where people can go and buy you stuff, someone from your close friends will go around to other friends and say, you know, Bob and Susie, which are not African names, so Bob and Susie are going to get married, and how much do you want to contribute toward it? And I mean, I guess if you just can't contribute something, you don't, but most of the time people will do something if they're close to those people just to make sure, you know, that they help them. And so that process usually lasts for anywhere from like 3 months to a year. And they keep, you know, collecting money. And then when they get to the point where the actual, you know, ceremony or marriage or whatever they call it is going to happen, then they present the couple with the money that has been collected. And then the couple can choose from that point if they want to spend it on, stuff for their house, or if they want to spend it on a wedding dress for the bride. It's totally up to them. But instead of giving gifts, you give money. And so it's a process that they go through it, and it's not a quick process. But I think it's kind of good because it gives them time to kind of get to know each other. And like I said, some people will tell you there that they're married when they're not really married as we know marriage. But to them, it's marriage. Okay, so I braided that, and I'm just going to bring it around and wrap it and put some glue every now and again to try to hold it down a little bit. And since I want to put a crown on her head on top, then this may be just the perfect length to go around here and not have any wasted. I even saved, like when I'm tearing this fabric and the little strings come out like this, I had a whole bunch of those that came out today, and I saved them because I thought there may be someplace I want to put them. I may want to tie them into a little bow and put a bow, make her some little hands and put a bow in her hands or whatever, So I you know how we are as crafters. We rarely throw anything away. Sometimes we probably need to throw more away, but you just never know when you're going to need it. Okay, so I think this is the perfect place.
Grace says it's beautiful.
I could even let this hang down. Yep, that's what I'm going to do, y'all. I'm going to let that hang down a little bit. Thank you, Grace. And I'm going to trim them up a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to put her little crown on her. Let's see, I've got some, here's my thing of strings I saved. Then I brought some moss. Yes. I'm going to put just a teeny tiny bit of moss on top because, again, that's something. Thank you, Chris, that they could, not Spanish moss necessarily, but, they could look around and find strings or twine. And I'm telling you, I've seen some of the cutest hot pads made from bottle caps. Beer bottle caps, Coke bottle caps. They literally will go around and collect them, and then they take fabric. I forget what the quilt is called, but it's where you take the little circles and you gather them up real tight, and then you sew them together. And they will take things like that and make hot pads or coasters that are darling. All right, let's give her this little crown on top. How's my time running? What time is it? What time is it?
Let's see.
It is 1:06. Okay, so I've got about 9 minutes. And we got to trim her up.
She's looking pretty spiffy.
Okay, look. Isn't she cute? Okay. Now, I could have, and I might go back and do it, I don't know yet, I haven't decided. I could have put some, I could have taken some of my bare antique wax and waxed her face to darken from the natural wood, and that would make it look even probably more authentic because she would look more like she was African. These wings are still not right, you guys. I'm going to have to, that's going to drive me crazy until they're even. Uh-oh. This is coming off. I may have to fix her wings off camera when it's over, but they're not level. I'm not even, that drives me crazy. It would be a fun craft to do with kids, Chris, because it's very easy, and yet I was telling them early on that I have some hung from a lamp in my home that has coming out of it has little flower, like these little metal hooks, and I've made some before that were just lace angels, and I've hung them from that, and I love them.
Terry's Journey to Better is watching.
Hello, Terry's
I think
Journey to
Richard
Better.
said yo-yos. I didn't.
Yo-yos, yes.
Think of the context.
That's right. That's the kind of quilt that I'm talking about. Yo-yo circles that they make for the quilt. Absolutely. Thank you, Mickey.
I thought she was talking about a toy.
That's exactly right. So they make teeny tiny little yo-yos to go on the bottle caps, to make coasters, and to make hot pads. And that's a great gift because they're done in these African fabrics. So, every time you look at it, you think of Africa, or I do whenever I look at mine. Okay, let me trim this up a little bit more. These would also be cute. You could make it a lot simpler, but these also would be cute for teacher gifts. Just, using regular fabric. It doesn't have to be African fabric. We're doing that because of this event we're in, which is a great event, by the way, crafting around the world. And so you could just use regular fabrics, or if you found out the color of a teacher's, den or bedroom that she used in her home, you could, try to get fabrics, or you just use scrap fabrics. And you could even get each child in a classroom to bring in some scrap fabric, and then have one of the room moms help them make it and give it to the teacher. You could put them on gifts. So many things. Okay, so other than her little wings being more on one side than the other, which I will fix. Thank you, Charity. This is her. I wish I had some small little of the beads that I told you they make from magazines. I don't have a small strand, but it would be fun to put like a single little strand of beads around, just one row around there. Thank you, Dottie. It's 2:10. Okay. So, you guys, I told you Grace at Grace Faithful Creations is coming on next. Please stay tuned for this whole event on the Crafty Bunch. Thank you, Crafty Bunch, for letting me be a part of this event and all events that I've been a part of so far. I've really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to go back and read y'all's comments about where you would go if you could go anywhere in the world. Let's ask Rodney where he would go. Where would you go, Rodney?
Oh.
Joyce, I need to talk to you, so call me later.
Australia.
Tell him I said hi.
Probably Australia. Been
Australia.
About two months in Australia.
Mm-hmm. Y'all know how long that is? Do you have a plug? What? Plug it in. I'm going to show y'all, since we've got a couple of minutes left. Okay. This is not Craft Around the World, but this was one I made the other day. And I did the base, and then Rodney just got a washer to put in it to hold the base real still for me. So I want y'all to see. This was a metal tree, like a hammered metal tree I got from a thrift store. And then I printed off on rice paper. See, it looked like that silver metal on the back.
Like
Printed off
candy.
on rice paper fir Christmas tree branches. All different ones. And then I tore the rice paper, glued it down, and then Rodney drilled holes in here. I have 100 lights on here. He drilled holes for me. I was going to go back with my little sander and sand off these edges, but I decided I kind of like them ruffled like that. And then these little ornaments I got at Hobby Lobby, and they're like in the paper section, the Christmas, but they're in a pack of like 6, and I got teeny tiny magnets and put on the back, and they just stick right on there. This one came with it, but look, even just a little poinsettia. I need to get some more on here and fill it up, but this was a fun craft. So anyway, Somebody said Germany. Thank you, Chris. Somebody said Germany. We went to Germany. Did I say Germany? I said Switzerland, Austria. Yeah, I said Germany. And where else have we been?
Lots of islands.
Jamaica, Aruba, Cayman Islands,
Costa Rica,
Costa Rica, Puerto Rico. I forgot about those. Yeah. So we love to
Mexico.
travel. Rodney gets to travel a lot with his work stateside, so we get to see a lot of the U.S. too, which is really, really nice. So I got it. So anyway, I appreciate so much y'all coming on, and I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't get on to see the necklaces that I showed earlier, these are made out of grass seeds from the Nile River. Here's another strand that can be doubled. So these are grass seeds. Can you see them? And then they've got the little gold seed beads in the middle.
Tell them the name of your boat driver.
And then these are made out of magazine pieces, as are these, as are these, a little bit different shape, as are these magazine pieces and then painted. They take long triangular pieces of magazine, come down to a narrow point, take a blunt needle, start at the top, roll them up, put a little dot of glue, throw them in a bucket. They do that all day long, and then they paint them, and then they string them. Ronnie wanted me to tell you, and then I need to get off. Don't forget to go watch Grace at Grace, Faithful Creations. You can just refresh the Crafty Hub, and the Crafty Bunch, not Hub, and she should be in here. When we took teams down the Nile River on a boat ride, our guide's name was Moses. So we thought that was pretty appropriate that we were going down the Nile River and Moses was our guide. So, all right, you guys, have a blessed day. I hope you can go out and have an opportunity to bless someone. I'll see you on here soon again, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the crafters. Bye.